Thanks, like you.
We'll go ahead, Ms. Clerk, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Grady County Board of Commissioners for March 17, 2014 to order. I'd like to bring your attention, please, on number one about the issue of that, the ethics statements. And I think you all are very aware of that, but I'm bound to tell you about that. And as somebody told me in a meeting I was at, if it stinks, don't eat it. So, you know, I feel very confident about this board, but I'm required to do that. With that, I will be doing the invocation tonight. I'd ask Commissioner Gore if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you stand, please? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for the blessing of the day. Thank you, Lord, for the strength and wherewithal and way that you've given us so we might gather here together. I ask, Lord, that you guide us, direct us, help us, Lord, in decision-making. Let us look to the needs of people. And, Lord, just asking that you just give us that. We need the strength and to do the things that are right in your sight. Father, we thank you again for all blessing. We just ask your blessing upon people of our county, state, nation, and world. And Father, we ask these in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Clerk, be careful that I get this tonight. With that, we have a motion, please, to approve the agenda as it is presented.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Have a second. Any discussion or comment? All approved? All opposed? This time, I'd ask a motion to be entertained for the approval of minutes for the regular and workshop meetings for the minutes of February 17th, continued meeting for February 18th. Have a motion?
Second.
We have a second. Any comment? Discussion? All approved? All opposed? Thank you very much. This time is Deputy Joseph Jones. I'm sorry. See? There you go. Sorry, Becky. This time we'll recognize Rebecca Garland for our finance report.
Good evening. I'll try to be brief. You have your packet in front of you. It's got our financial highlights through today. Our reconciled cash balance for February the 28th in our general fund stood at $6,012,474. This time last year we had $5.1 million. 2 years ago, $4.6 million, and 3 years ago, $3.8 million. So we've come a little piece. I'm really proud of our county and how we've been able to, through good fiscal planning, build our fund balance back up to where it needs to be. If you want to turn to page 2, our tax collections for the month of February for our current taxes stood at $180,726. We received $18,000 in back taxes. We're ahead as far as the month of February versus last year was about $125,000. So our tax office is working really hard. They are doing a lot of garnishments right now and debt set-offs. They're getting those as people are filing their income tax returns. And so they've been working very diligently in that department. DMV taxes, this includes the VTS. We got about 21,000 VTS last month. A total of $35,652. If you want to flip 2 pages, you'll see the impact of VTS. If you look on page 4, about halfway down this page, our DMV taxes were $81,900 ahead of this time last year. So that's amazing. It used to be every month I would report that DMV was behind the year before. So this is a process. It's been a little tedious, I'll be honest with you, as far as the switch over and getting the reports and that type of thing. And I think the state's about to get all the glitches out of the systems. But as far as the impact on the counties, it's been an amazing turnaround in that line item of revenue. Our total real property collections for the year, $5,249,000. We collected for the full year last year $5.9 million, so we're tracking right along. We're about $302,000 ahead of this time last year. Most of the impact is coming from the mill rate increase. That's where most of that impact is coming from. And you can see that in the respect, we have a higher levy, so our percentage of collections lagging a little behind. This time last year, we were right at 92.5%, where this time last year was 94%. I'm really gonna be working hard with the tax office on that percentage, because that makes a big difference when we get into budget, which we're gonna have to really start talking about. We're already talking about budget in the office, and with the departments, but that's coming up very quickly. And what our tax percentage collection rate is drives how much revenue we can budget for our next coming year. Looking at our total receivables for taxes, we have right at 400,000 in current taxes still due, that they're working really hard on, and then about 254,000 in back taxes, that's 10 years back. We have, and I'm learning a lesson, I better not use blue to highlight anything with, because you can't read it. We've collected 130,000 in back taxes since we began the process of foreclosure, which about 18,000 of that came in February. Page 5, we have a total revenues of 789,000 for February, expenditures of 874,000 for deficit for the month of February of 85,000. We're beginning that slow descent. You know, from July to January, you're up, and then it starts going down. But our descent is not as sharp this year. Last February was 161,000 deficit. We did pay the sanitation transfer station note this past month, and so that impacted that deficit. If you want to turn to page 6, just to see how we are year to date, we've got a surplus of 2.4 million and some change. This time last year was about 2.5 or 2.6 million. Our revenues are a little lower than this time last year, but our expenditures have gone down too. That's the impact of capital projects. We've pretty well finished the senior center. And, of course, the transit facility was finished last year, or right at the beginning of this year. So really, it's hard to compare the 2 years as far as revenues and expenditures, because those items are included. Sales tax, I've got more good news on sales tax. Our total sales tax revenue for March, we got it in on Friday, was $119,500. We were in a deficit for the year up until last month, but we've pulled out of that. We've got a positive variance now of right at $15,000. I was beginning to worry. I didn't want to have a year of negative growth after we finally had a year of positive growth, so I'm hoping that we've got a trend going there. Beginning of a trend. It takes 3 years to make a trend. Any questions on the highlights? You look at your budget report, this is through February 28th, and pretty much every expenditure that came in for the month of February has been posted. And if you'll note under the encumbrance column, I've gone ahead and put in any debt service that is to come, because we got to pay that no matter what. At the end of February, our ideal remaining percentage is 33 1/3%. Most of our departments are right within that, or within a point or two. We do have a couple of departments for which I've got some budget amendments that we're running at a deficit due to activity within the department. For instance, Register of Deeds was looking pretty slim, and I went back and I did some digging. And the reason they were looking pretty slim in their budget was because they have, it's a good problem. There have been much more property transfers in Graham County than this time last year, if you take out the Alcoa factor. And so when they get in more revenue, they're tracking about $20,000 ahead in revenues. We have to expend part of that back out to the state and other agencies. So their expenditures were kind of outpacing what we had budgeted, but it's because we got more revenue in to support it. So that's a good thing. The jail, if you look on page 1, which and it's about the second to the last, is running at a deficit. That is because we've had a very high population in the jail for the last 4 to 6 weeks. We've had some very high medical costs, so that's gonna be one department that Mr. Cable and I, we're already working with them, in trying to help them hold their costs down. But it's almost a problem we can't overcome. So that's probably gonna be one department that we have to worry with when we're doing year-end budget amendments. Civil preparedness looks really slim, but at the end of the year, I'm gonna be pulling those, we moved 1/3 of a position in there, and to float the boat with 911, so we're gonna be pulling some 911 funds into that budget to bring that one back in line. The health department is so far, it's running fine. That's on page 2. DSS, those are our 2 big departments that we have our largest amount of dollars running through. It's tracking along fine. And overall, the county at the bottom, if you look at the percentage for the county budget as a whole, we're at 35% remaining with an ideal of 33. So far, so good, but this is the home stretch, and so the message out to the departments is continuously watch your spending, keep it, only necessities at this point in the game so that we can come out within budget as a county. Any questions on budget?
One thing that you mentioned these amendments.
Yes.
You said that those will be end of the year.
Well, actually, the jail, I'll probably have to come in and do an amendment probably this time next month.
Okay.
If we can see, we wanted to wait because we weren't sure how, if this population situation is going to last or if things are going to move there. So I'm probably going to want to tackle that this time next month. I just want to kind of see what the second month of detention costs are going to be. One thing we did find out was we had one huge medical bill from Clay County that we worked really hard. It was a member of the Cherokee Tribal, and we were working really hard trying to see if the tribe could pick up that bill. And one thing we've learned, and we're working with the department manager on, is if they're a tribal member, if it's not a huge emergency, if the ambulance can get them to the tribal hospital, then there would be no cost to the county. But if they take them to Murphy Medical or Swain, then we bear the cost. And so those are some of the things we're trying to work on. And plus, we're also looking at a program that ties into the new legislation with the Medicaid reimbursements that Mr. Cable worked on with that statute. And then he's going to talk to you about. But we're putting a system into place under that statute. If the inmate is Medicaid eligible, we can go ahead and get them signed up. So what we've worked out with the jail is for them to, they take an intake form where they get that information. If they're not on Medicaid, then we're going to refer them directly to DSS and have a detention officer bring them over here to get them signed up for Medicaid at that time. So that's another positive thing with that statute that Mr. Cable worked so hard on this time last year. Any other questions? Okay, I've got 3 budget amendments. And these are the kind of budget amendments I like because they're revenue driven. That means that revenues came in and will support some costs that we've had to incur. Budget amendment number 11 is to recognize $1,122 in senior center general purpose grant funds that will allow and enable the senior citizen center to do some additional work in that area. So we have an increase in their expenditures and revenues for $1,122. Budget amendment number 12. This is a pass-through. We received a bill from the Forest Service for tower usage where they placed the DNET, whatever they put up there.
Yeah, right.
And so DNET's going to be reimbursing us for that under our lease agreement. So that's for $2,283 just to recognize that revenue. And the expenditure to pay the rent up at Wachacha Ball. And then budget amendment number 13, the election board has received $7,600 in additional income and was anticipated at budget. Of course, there's going to be costs to print ballots and so forth for the primary. And so this is just to recognize the additional revenue to support the cost of ballots for $7,600. Any questions on the budget amendments?
That's great. All right, Ms. Clerk, we'd like to go ahead and act on these amendments. Do I have a motion that we approve the budget amendments 11, 12, and 13 as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion? We have a second. Any discussion or comment? Just go on. All approved? Opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I just have a couple of just FYI information. This came across my desk just a little bit before I came up. There is, right now, we're looking at we've got about $283,000 in our 911 bank account, and as you're already aware, if we don't spend some of those funds, then we lose revenues going forward. And so probably next month, we'll be coming forth with some information. I think Misty Hembry is looking at replacing some equipment. She's estimating it to run about $100,000. Some radio equipment that is internet-based instead of antenna-based. That one, depending on what information she gets, because there'll be a maintenance contract. If the cost of the equipment alone is above $90,000, then this board will have to put that out for bids. The service contract does not have to be put out for bid, so depending on how that shakes out, the $100,000 will be coming with some information there. She's looking at replacing the UPS unit, which is about a $40,000 expenditure for the entire system. The good news is that Swain County and Jackson County are in the process also of writing a grant, which they're happy for Grand County to latch onto. So they'll write the grant for us to get some additional 911 funds. So hopefully there will be more information on that.
Okay. Now, what was the total on that of the 911 funds?
$283,000.
283,000. So you account for 100,000 of it for equipment, and then
40 to 50
40
for
to 50 for the
UPSs.
cars.
Yeah.
And the balance can't carry over to the next fiscal year.
We can carry about half of it without them penalizing us.
Okay.
Okay, so that's just something for you to keep in mind. She'll be bringing some more information. And then I'm having a little problem with, I was appointed to the board of the Foursquare Community Action, and every board meeting they have, our commissioner meeting night.
Haven't changed their meters.
So,
No, I'm just saying that, Jess.
Yeah.
Right.
so there may be a possibility that this board will need to reappoint someone, because it always seems like that on their board meeting nights, there's a lot of pressing issues that require me to be here. As much as I'd love to be both places, I've not figured out how to clone myself yet.
Okay.
So
All
that
right.
may be a problem that you may have going forward. And that's all I have.
All right, any questions, comments? Let's go on. Okay, with that, we'll continue on. We have Deputy Jones.
He's not, but we can, I can read it forward, or manager can.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Talk with my,
Okay, he is in court, or he would be here, as well as Commissioner Williams.
Okay.
He was caught for jury duty, so he's not been let go, I'm sure, as of yet. We had two of our deputies to attend a training class last week, and this is mainly for meth labs, the cleanup of meth labs. We knew that this would be coming, and I have it in your agenda, kind of what happened in the past, and a couple of our officers were exposed, and it is in the information that was forthcoming. What they told them, any exposure that they're seeing right now is leading to cancer, so that is not a liability that Graham County wants to take on. If we can suit them properly and make sure that they're not exposed. The first page right behind it kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at. $6,094 probably for the first section, to get them the suits, the leather gloves, the chemical tape, flashlights, everything they need to actually go into a meth lab. This is what they need up front. They're checking on an air quality monitor from the SBI, and hopefully they will have one available for us so that we do not have to buy one of those. The self-contained breathing apparatus, I'm pretty sure, Becky, didn't he say like 10,000 apiece? Was one of the costs that they had given them, one of the pricing. So we're checking on that also. SBI is going to provide them with the chemical resistant boot covers and Hempfield gloves. And it says Graham County Sheriff's Office has 4 Klan Lab certified officers, and there's only officers they are the only officers that are allowed to enter in the Klan Lab scene. Now, this does not just include meth. This would be any kind of chemical drug explosion or anything that if they go into a home and they have a lab set up, that these are the only 4 that can legally go in and remove and without the SBI coming in.
Right, and normally we would have to call their unit in, right?
Yes.
At a cost to the county, I believe.
We have to, yeah, there's a big cost involved, but our guys are now trained, so they can go in. But we do need to get the items that are listed up above, where's the $6,094.
Okay, and Kim, I looked at this, and is this to equip the 2 new officers? Or
This
is it for all
this
4?
equips the 4.
The 4.
Mhm.
And my question is the SBI is kind of, they used to come in and do that all of it,
Right.
and then they weaned it off. So, are
They
there,
changed the law
right,
where the counties has to incur the
of
cost.
course,
Yes.
yeah, then,
And the SBI are willing to help us with the large items and try to help us, and they will come in and help us even further. But we have to protect the 4
yes.
officers that we have right now. So I'll be asking, I guess, for the $6,094 expenditure to get what they need now. And like I said, there's documentation of how they had to go in to a lab already.
I was questioning about having a copy of that. I didn't know if I was supposed to have that or not. It kind of panicked me.
Well, no one, he brought it in, laid it down, said, here it is, show it to the commissioners, so,
The reports.
yes.
Yeah.
This did not-
I'd like to ask if we turn this back into you.
Okay, that's fine,
I don't want to take it home.
that'll be fine.
Is that all right with the board?
I know this case has already been tried.
Right, but I still,
That's fine.
and with this right here, Becky, we're talking about $6,100.
We have a line.
Is it budgeted?
Not really, I mean, it's gonna have to come out of contingency. About 2 years ago when the law first came about, we budgeted about 20,000 for it, and then there was never any,
Right.
at that time, I guess, the SBI was
They were
still
doing it.
Yeah.
handling it, since there was really no need for it. They're staying, they're right on budget as of, right now for the most part. So in order to keep their budget healthy, to make that expenditure, I think we've got about 20,000 in contingency that we've left
For that purpose.
for stuff like this. So
Well-
we would just need to do a budget amendment to bring that in.
Okay, well, let me ask this. The price of the air, not the monitors, but the contained breathing apparatus, you said those were how much a piece, 10,000?
Yeah, they're high. I'm
It says-
thinking, Becky, did I not say 10,000? He was in the office, and I apologize for not writing that down. But he was dreading telling me, but I'm pretty sure it was at a price of around 10,000,
Did you say-
6,000 to 10,000 apiece.
Did you say the FBI would help with that comment?
The SBI is trying to help us with a monitor. but we will have to buy the 4 breathing apparatus. And we wanted to check with the health department, make sure that they didn't have a place that we could order this from through the,
They have biohazard.
yes,
money.
yes.
I saw that.
So we're gonna dig and search for that monies as hard as we can somewhere else, but the $6,094, I didn't know anywhere else.
What about the 9/11 funds? Could any of that be used?
No.
I wish.
If they would still give us that 50% public safety money like they did 15 years ago, we could have used that. But they've clamped down on that again, and
Here we go.
Now, let me understand, it's $10,000 a piece times 4?
Yeah, up to 10,000, yes. That's how, well, it's about 6,000. He said between 6 to 10. About 4,500.
How much? 45. I mean, they have to have it. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah.
I mean,
But like I said, he's working on the last 2. We're checking those. So
Okay.
those last 2 items Joe's working with us. And then, like I said, he's gonna search through the health department, do the biohazard, and try to get a grant. But in the meantime, these items here need to be addressed
okay.
tonight.
So we can act on this tonight without amendment, Becky? This $6,100?
yeah, you can go ahead and
Without
direct me to
amendment?
do the budget
So
amendment.
the amendment. Okay. Is this is an action item for later?
Well, you can do
Yeah.
it.
Wait,
I don't
we
think
could-
I put it, did I put it in there?
I think it was. This list is so long.
No. I apologize. I
No,
didn't-
it's not your fault. There it is. Okay, if
Yeah.
it's pleasure of the board, we'll go ahead and act on that for the $6,100, actually $6,094 for the purchase of indicated equipment and pending later, receiving a air quality monitor and then have it revisited if we have to pay for the breathing apparatus. Okay, we have a motion? We have a second. Any further discussion or comment? And this again is on the $6,094. They all approve? All opposed? Thank you very much. Okay. This time we recognize Claudia Birchfield. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you. You should have in your packet the Graham County Social Services Building Committee. At a previous board meeting, you had approved for the board to go ahead and nominate a committee. It's on a brown colored piece of paper.
Thank you.
That's an 8-member committee, and that's with the director, 2 board members, Michelle Crisp and Keith Eller in that capacity, the building inspector, David Hyde, finance, Becky Garland, county commissioner representative Mike Edwards, transportation, Juanita Culver, that's also with her having recently built a building, and then Jacob Mills from public health, and all have agreed and been slated.
Okay. Okay, we're looking for approval of this committee.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Sure.
We have a second. Any comment or questions for Claudia? Ms. Burton? All approved? All opposed? Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you very much. Juanita, you and I will be serving on this committee together. Can't wait.
She's agreed.
Thank you. And I'm not being facetious. All right. Thank you, Claudia. All right, Mr. Gable.
Yes, sir. As discussed in the last meeting with the formation of multiple committees and planning, areas for the county, now we've got the safety committee, grounds committee, the SS capital project committee. There will be more as Graham County continues to grow and prosper. As we discussed in the meeting last week, board felt that it would be necessary to form an oversight so that all of these smaller committees are going to be, have a central place that they can come to, and we can assimilate the information that's coming out of them. That way, we're not trying to figure out which committee's asking for what. You know, we can just consolidate that and it is more conducive and efficient. As requested, I drafted a framework for this planning oversight board for the county that can present the ideas and recommendations from the various committees to the commissioners in order to get approval and direction on how to proceed. You should have this document here. And as you can see, on the first page, it gives a general outline of how this is established and the other various committees that are established underneath that individual planning board. The second page is just a draft of who could make up that planning board. As with a lot of things, you know, whenever the recommendations come in from the various committees, the dollar signs that are attached to it, you know, there needs to be a clear understanding from, you know, the finance department, manager's office, and board of commissioners and economic development that we are of one mind. You know, we can come in with recommendations. We see the needs, say, for instance, in this building with the roof and the insulation. To know that that's something that we are going to need to address, but we know we can't address it right now. It's going to have to be something that is planned and thought out in the budgetary process. And in many ways, the same instance with any sort of capital project. Figuring out a way to assimilate the information, form that into a proper presentation and present to the Board of Commissioners to get direction on how to proceed. So I would submit this to the Board of Commissioners for your insight. If you think there's something that you'd like to see different about it, but I think in the last meeting we were of the understanding that with all the various committees that were going on, we needed to have one central.
Okay, I have one question on this. I know that just as Claudia presented, you know, when you say a DSS building, you're talking about maintenance?
My understanding of her presentation last month was that she was on the forming committee to look at the construction of this.
That's where I'm getting right there. Is, you know, I look on this right here, it may be that there might be another project coming on this first page.
Yes, sir.
This expands.
It's expanded.
It's expanded.
Yes, sir. We're just trying to provide a clearinghouse here for all the various communities that are coming through.
So this is not locked just to these particular.
No, sir.
Okay.
That's why you see that as listed as additional project committee or additional, you know, whatever it may be.
Future project.
That's just a tiered structure of how the information flows.
Okay.
And, you know, as we've stated, you know, we've got more, you know, other capital projects that are going to be coming. And, you know, it'll be necessary to form a committee for those departments and individual citizens that's going to directly affect. And they'll need to step in and provide the recommendations. But, you know, right now it seems that we've got this committee and this committee and this committee. We've got to assimilate that information so that we can present to the board, you know, these recommendations and also be able to inform those committees of the necessary steps in order to, you know, to get this to the board. You know, this is what the Board of Commissioners are going to need in order for this to progress. This is going to have to, you know, this is an emergency taking place now. It's going to bypass a few things. We're going to get this done. This needs more time to develop. May need to go in the next budget year so we can allocate the proper funds to it.
Well, you know, we've had two projects, and, you know, the bellwether for me, you know, was a transportation facility, and then with that coming on with the senior citizens.
Yes, sir.
And I know that we had snags with any project, but that committee was instrumental in that. My next question is, you know, the future capital project committee, you know, you kind of want to have that grid out there, you know, about what do we see out 30 years from now.
Yes, sir.
And that's what you're referring to in this future capital project committee? And who is that composed of?
Well, that can be, you know, as I stated before, you know, we're about to, you you know, we're working on acquiring, you know, the piece of property where the recycling center is. You know, with the conveyance of that additional land that has been told, you know, that's coming across. You know, there's a facility there that can be used for vehicle maintenance. Okay, but we can finally work on a lot of our larger type of equipment. Well, Commissioner Elder, who's our vehicle maintenance director, may want to put together a team of his guys, whether it's Barry or, you know, some of the other folks, to say, hey, this is the kind of equipment that we need to put in this shop. And then we can assemble it and, you know, be able to figure out ways, you know, if there's grants to go after. Now, I just use that as an example. But we can gather this information. We can put it in the hands of, you know, the finance director, myself as the manager, the economic development director, to go out and channel the particular avenues that we need to access, whether it's loan structure, bond structure, you know, grants, things like that. You have that team there that can assimilate the information and get, you know, help gather some of those things. You know, we've talked about a bond referendum for a jail. You know, that can be, that's a definite future capital project committee that's going to have to come together to assimilate that as that develops and try to create a project to assimilate the information so that we can firmly establish what size of facility we need, where we're going to put it. You know, the list goes on and on.
So that would end up being another branch on this bottom line.
Could be another branch on the bottom line.
All right,
As
what I see, and this is just me, is, you know, you can have I don't know if you call it a dream list or whatever, but you know, you kind of take a projection out there and see what Graham County would need, you know, and it gets past just the issue of having to house the government. You know, that,
Yes,
I know that's one of the things, but what we're doing right now, you know, we don't have a place to hang a hat,
Yes, sir.
basically, and what we do have maybe fall off a mountain. And you know, you have to have that for people to come and to do business. But then you start talking about like the rec facility that's pending with the 37 acres over here. You know, there's all those things, and I personally would like to see all that out there. You know, not saying, yeah, we can do it, but then to be looking at it and saying, yes, this is what we want to do. And I think our finance officer would be very proud of me for saying that, because we need to have that outlook out there, because, you know, I'm not going to be here forever. I won't be alive forever, I know that. But the thing of it is that you have that vision out there and you say, well, this is pretty much what we need to get our government housed. And then the issue of providing services to the citizens of the county to keep up the structure that we have in order to maintain that. And then I see that too incorporated with the town of Robbinsville specifically.
Sure.
Because that's the venue where we're at. But that's kind of what I said, because I do not at home have a wish list, but in my head I do. And you know, for boards that have come on, or I love the word that our finance officer uses about contingency. You know, you can go and you can plan and you can look. It's like we're planning right now on the 1571 money. You don't know how it's going to be there. That's the kind of thing we need to know. But that's a need, and that process has started on that. So, but I would like to see it. And I don't know what's going to be under there. You know, I have an idea. But you know, it's, you know, I'd love to see recreation area. I'd love to see a venue for all the Golden Leagues to come in and have a place to park.
Yes.
You know, those kinds of things. And that's a big deal. And Greg, I know you know that, but it's just me voicing it, I guess.
Yes.
And that's it. But I'm glad this has happened, and I'm glad that's expandable. And
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of times that sometimes you have to bring on some ad hoc people. You know what I mean? Because, you know, committee-wise and with that. One of the things I'm excited about too is, and I was talking to Vice Chief Blythe the other night, you know, with regard to, you know, the things, you know, cooperating with the tribe. You know, they're doing the survey up on the property up on Fort Hill.
Yes,
That's
sir.
going to take us a leap and a jump, you know, with regard to having that survey done and doing the archaeological and everything on that, to establish that as a cultural site, and then to be able to go and build on the site,
Yes, sir.
you know, as permitted. So that's all I'm going to say. I could go on and on.
Yeah, I was thinking about, we started talking about a jail building committee. Kim, you were trying to tell me, where I know Chuck was mentioning Randy. Where did that?
I think we were waiting for Chuck to bring us a list of his
Yes, ma'am,
suggestions.
and they haven't caused a specific list, and that's the idea behind, the complete umbrella oversight board, is that, you're gonna have new committees that are gonna be formed for various projects. Well, they're gonna come under that, and then you're gonna have a clearinghouse to assimilate the information, then, present it to the board of commissioners, like always, for any kind of action and approval. And then you're gonna see those committees, whenever that project is completed, basically dissolve. As far as from a construction standpoint, once we get done building the senior center, we're gonna no longer need the senior center building committee. So that is expandable, and it's just a way that we can better channel the information within the county. That way, finance and management and economic development, and board of commissioners, and everyone will know which way the wagon's rolling.
Okay. All right, I'm looking on this, and I see the step where we're at right now with the social services project. So that goes on, and then when's the first meeting, by the way?
It's not been set yet.
Oh, good. Because I just wondered, but you will let us know on that. Okay, that's great. That's the only question I had.
Yes, sir. So I'd like to get, approval from the board of commissioners to establish this. That way it's in line with the boards that have been established, and it could be an oversight. And we'll start setting up to where, this oversight board can meet on a monthly basis to review the progress of the various committees and boards that are going on within county government.
All right, do we have a motion for this process?
So moved.
All right, any other questions or comments with regard to this? All approved? All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Commissioner. Let's see. Yeah, I bet. All right, with this, we'll continue on with our agenda. This time, we recognize anyone for public comment. Okay. All right, Mr. Merchant.
Big Mark?
You signed in on this, I think you signed on it.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, I'm not sure of all the procedures.
Oh, okay, that's fine, Dan.
I will spare you the public comments.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, having that, then there'll be no other for public comment. All right, with this, we'll continue on with our discussion items. We have several of those. The agenda, I think there's several of these in here. And if you would, be sure to remind us on the things of the poll. I think it's already indicated that we did have several poll votes with regard to with some issues that could not wait. So be reminded that we recognize those as such. Mr. Randy.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Mr. Williams.
Be out of court.
First thing I want to say is I want to thank staff at the admin office. I've been in meetings and entertaining the Secretary of Commerce, which went very, very well in Graham County, and out of the office a whole lot. And so they stepped in and covered things like the sheriff's office whenever I wasn't there, and I'm very much appreciative of it. The seat's not been it's been pretty cold in my office because I haven't been there over the last few days, but have been working for the county for sure. First item on the discussion item is the Senior Center monthly performance status report. That's CDBG 10-C-2231. Senior Center, I got an email just earlier from John Stilwell. She is urging the architect to have the general contractor finish up the items on the punch list. She is shooting for a public hearing between April 2nd and April 7th in order to close out that grant and be able to get all the final paperwork in. There are some items that are still need to be addressed by the contractor so that we can get all of the needed signatures and documentation in. The architect has a retainage of certain $13,000 that he is holding to make sure that these items get addressed from the contractor, which, you know, I believe they will, I have no reason to think not. It's just they're trying to get that motivated and go ahead and get those items addressed. You know, we've talked about the flooring, the erosion control. Some of you may have noticed the senior center sign that went last Wednesday, just broke the sign apart.
I have to make a comment, I went on the walkthrough, that's sad. That's all I got to say.
Yes,
That
sir.
sign is sad.
Yeah, it was,
It's styrofoam.
it was styrofoam, yes, sir, and it didn't hold up in the wind. So that's got to be fixed. And it is being addressed, but we are coming close to, you know, a time frame issue. We got to have the contractor, but it's in the hands of the architect. You know, he has control over that, and he is under the understanding that, you know, there's some hard dates coming up. We've got to get direct answers. We've got to get these things wrapped up, or he's going to use that retainage to find someone to fix it.
So what I'm looking at, Mr. Manager, is the fact is that we're going to have a special call meeting. Is that right? And set that, but that can't be established until the, what time do we have a final decision? We're going to have this final meeting. And it is a public hearing, and it has to be handled as such.
Yes, sir. It will be a public hearing. I am,
It needs to be April 3rd, 4th, or the 5th. They can't do it on the 1st or the 2nd.
Who can't do it?
there is a NCACC meeting on the 2nd, sir.
And the 1st, she was
Hey,
going
what's
to
How
be in Raleigh.
about that? But that's in what time of day is that?
That gets her under the deadline of doing the step to turn everything into the state.
By May, I know there's a date. So is it pretty firm then that we could possibly do that on the 3rd, on a Thursday? Is that going to give us time to do the advertisement on the meeting?
Yeah, that's actually, I've already sent it to the paper. They're only waiting for that day. The actual notice has already been sent to the paper. And I actually had it on the agenda to set the public hearing down on the action items.
Okay, for the 3rd?
Third,
Okay.
if that's okay.
If that's all right with the board, sooner the better. Because that May deadline is right around the corner.
Yes.
And you say that they're going to address that punch list?
Yes, sir. That has to be addressed, and, you know, they're looking at having the punch list finished by the contractor by April 7th, and the building being able to be signed off by all. So there is a short amount of time. They're going to have to.
So we're going to have a public hearing on it before they do the punch list?
The closeout documents have to be in Raleigh by May 2nd.
May 2nd?
May 5th. Be in Raleigh by Monday, May 5th.
But so the board would be on the 3rd, okay, and saying we approve. And yet they're not going to have a punch list done on the 7th, is that right?
The punch list will have to be done by April 7th.
Yes.
Everything that you
Before
have
she
asked.
submits anything, there'll have to be a final, you know, everything will have to be signed off on. She has to have a public hearing just to close out the grant.
But before it's closed out, though, we have to have those things on the punch list. Right?
Not according to John. That's why she drafted this schedule. And that's why, I mean, I understand your question, and it's,
No, the punch list has to be finished by the contractor by April 7th and signed off by all.
Okay, so the actual closeout will not take place till May. So all we're doing is establishing a public hearing. And then they have to, the 7th of April, to get the punch list done. And that has to be done before it will be closed.
That has to be done and
Is that
signed
right?
off on by the county commissioners. I mean, they have to get the punch list done.
Right.
She's got public hearing April 2nd through the 7th, and then she's got public hearing minutes approved by commissioners at the April board meeting. She's got the documents being prepared by her between April 7th and April 21st. So if she prepares the documents, that means everything has to be completely done by April 7th.
In other words, all right, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they should be working on it and should be finishing before April 7th.
And for sure, before the closing on May, in May.
Yes, sir, it has to be done by May 5th. Everything completed. I mean, we're talking paperwork too, so I mean, there's the actual punch list got to be done well before, but so we've got enough time to process that.
I guess I'm just, okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Let's see. Next is CDG grant number 12-C-2417. This is our rehabilitation scattered site housing grant. The notice to proceed was signed last Friday, so all the work, everything's done. Contractor's got to go ahead, so he is moving. The local company provided the lowest bid for, it was Betterville General Contractor, and they had built one, the scattered site houses, a couple years ago over in the Milltown area. So, they submitted the lowest bid for both houses.
Who is that?
Jeremy Lunsford, off of Buck Branch. Like I said, they did good work.
Is there anything else to add to this?
To the scattered site housing,
Yeah, or the other 2231?
oh, for the senior center.
Yeah, we're going to approve this rental, right? I mean, that's what you're asking.
Yes, sir. I just need you to approve the monthly performance status report to enter in the minutes for grant requirements.
Okay. We have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion? Have a second? Any further discussion or question? All approved? All opposed? Thank you.
Next, we have releases and discoveries, total releases, March 17, 2014, in the total amount of $316.15, and no discoveries.
Okay. We have a motion to accept the releases of $316.15.
So moved.
Have a motion? Do you have a second? Second. Thank you. Okay, any discussion or comments with regard to releases or releases or discussion? Okay, all approved? Opposed?
Next, and I'll have to probably get Kim to elaborate on this a little bit, because this was a new one for me. Looks as though the health department went out and got some bids to repair or repaint the 2002 Ford Explorer. That is a vehicle that is assigned to the health department. And $612? Is that just a paint?
Actually what happened was one of our employees had a small accident, and to repair the panel in the back where she backed into something, it was $612.20. But when they brought the vehicle by, the paint is on one side of the vehicle is completely coming off. So she said, while I'm getting an estimate for this, can I get an estimate to have it painted? And I said, sure, you can get an estimate to have it painted. To get it painted and have the repair work done, came to $1,234.47. The one, Adams Body Shop said he wouldn't fool with it, with the painting of it in 2002 Ford Explorer. The other one was from Styles. And then he's got $1,500 just to refinish the rest of the vehicle. No, his estimate to fix the fender bender was $1,234. Adams's was $612.20. And then to paint it, Randall's did not give an estimate, and Vincent gave him one for $1,500. So that was a commissioner. The dent really didn't look so bad to me, but it's like I said, $612 to fix the dent.
Is this one of the situations to where we're going to come out ahead instead of on insurance?
Yep, our deductible is, not gonna come to the, we'd have to eat the 612 if we chose to fix
Well, if
the,
I'm not mistaken, that's one that we talked about the other night at the airport, meeting to ask for a unit for,
it is.
I can see it run.
It runs, Keith.
Yeah, I was gonna
What
say.
do you think, Keith?
It runs on it, I was getting pretty high mileage, that might, maybe.
I mean, the look, did you see that?
Most of, what I remember about the clear coat's coming off of it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the paint, it's the clear coat. But it's also been wrecked, I don't know if it's prior to the county on it, or on the driver's side, it had a pretty bad leak in there.
I just think to put that money in.
Well, one side's real nice, and then on this driver's side is where the clear coat's coming off. That's why we think that
The
it's
driver's
ready.
side is the one that's been wrecked sometimes, that's pretty bad out the door.
Yeah.
It's hard, unless you're really good to keep that big foot on one very long, but it comes out of shot.
Well, it being 2002 and not a lot of mileage, we're putting good money into that.
Yeah.
Do you know about how many miles it's got on the keys?
It's over 100,000, I don't remember.
20 or 40 something, we talked about the other night,
Okay.
but I don't think it's
Before,
worth it.
before we spend this kind of money on it, we need to find out what it's worth.
Well, that's why Randall wouldn't give us a quote. He thought that the car wasn't worth as much as you would put in to get it repainted.
Okay. Well, what's the pleasure of the board then? Do we have a motion to approve this, or you got anything else on this, Greg?
I don't, sir. I
Okay.
think, I agree that it's probably throwing, good money at the back considering the age and it sounds like a condition of the vehicle.
If it's running good, let's just, they're not paying it right
All right, so we're gonna move along. Is there a motion then to do this?
Motion, we don't.
We don't?
Don't fix the bumper or repaint.
Okay, we have a motion to that effect. Is there a second?
now. Wait a minute, well,
Okay.
does the bumper need fixing?
No, no, same.
Are you not seeing?
Let's.
Just did it in. There was no headlights or taillights. It just pushed in the side before you get to the very back. It's
So
just a
all the
push.
lighting is good?
This was the vehicle I started taking Chapel Hill one time and it wasn't.
Commissioner Williams, do you have something?
Under, let's add to the motion, after Keith looks at it,
Okay.
if he thinks it'd be all right to drive, then not fix it.
Is that okay?
Did we get that done that way? We already had a motion on the floor not to do it.
Not to fix or paint until after Keith looks at it.
No, I was
You
just
amended,
making a motion
your
not to
motion.
pay.
All right, with that, all right. We have a second to that.
Second.
Next second, we already- okay. With that, all approved? All opposed? Thank you very much. All right, one thing I'd like to recognize if I can, we have Joe Jones here. You'd like to come on forward just a minute. We went ahead and acted on that, but I'd kind of like to hear just a little bit about your training and let you guys go. I know you have a crazy schedule. Thanks for coming by.
Maybe they're court and all that.
Yeah, very important, all of it.
Yeah, they approved the 6,094.
I'm sorry,
I was
thanks,
gonna let
Drew.
you talk
Yes,
about
sir.
it.
Everybody's here, you want to thing around.
Absolutely. Okay.
That's all your fault.
I hope you've got some good news about those tanks, those air tanks.
Jerry is checking in, he's
Okay.
hoping to get them cheaper.
Yeah, we have to talk about it, so.
And I talked to, two SB agents, and they said until we can figure out, some way to get them cheaper, that they'll be more than happy to bring a couple of extra whenever we have a lab for us to
Okay.
use.
All right.
Pretty much, the training that 4 of us have now is, plan lab certification. Instead of them having to send a cleanup contractor in to separate the solvents, the acids, the bases, all that, we go in and do it, bring everything out, separate it. And the SBI repackages it and transports it to a central location. And then the only thing the contractor does is comes in and picks it up. That saves, where it would have costed $10,000 to clean up the lab, now it costs $500.
Wow.
And that's what they're doing all across the state, is get local sheriff's offices trained where they can do the separation to where it's more cost effective. And the SBI, the state will pay the $500 pickup and repackaging fee. So pretty much all we're paying is our equipment and our time.
That's good.
We learned that one exposure, which I've been exposed, he's been exposed, can cause you lung cancer 15 years down the road. It can take up to 15 years for spots to develop from some of these gases and different things. And Keith, he knows all about this, dealing with the fire department and everything. Pretty much, we have to have flame retardant and chemical resistant safety equipment because the gases and everything working together, you turn it over and the liquid hits the lithium metal that's in the one pot meth lab can explode. And that gets the gases and the chemical all, you're exposed to both. And pretty much what our instructor said was, you know, what price can you put on your life? That's when it comes down to your safety equipment as have.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, Officer Jones, that this board came down to that too. There was pretty much another brainer. And plus there was the issue of contingency money, but that for this very purpose already. And just find out what we need to do. And I appreciate you guys doing training. I believe I've met you. Hi, Tyler. I'm fine.
What's his name?
Well, I saw you back there, and I thought we'd just give you a chance to jump in, but you know, we have passed that, and I think it's $6,049 that we're paying for the initial equipment, and we're waiting for the issue about the air tank, and also the monitor. You mentioned an air monitor by that. Appreciate you guys and what you got trained to do, and I don't think I want anything to do with it.
Me neither, but hope they slow down.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Right now, they're on pace to have about 150 more this year than they had last year.
On that flash.
So,
Is most of them just shake and bake?
from about Statesville this way, most of them are the one pot shake and bake. And from Statesville on down, they see more of the anhydrous ammonia because of the farms
Yeah.
that have the anhydrous ammonia tanks. People go steal the tanks or steal the ammonia out of it and use it. But from Statesville to Hickory about this way, we see more than one pot.
Y'all been careful?
Thank you.
Yeah.
You are gonna give the number to Katie, ain't you?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to show.
I'm like, sorry.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate what you do.
All right. Next on your agenda, no action needed. Update the board over the bids for the tree removal here at DSS. That was approved prior to, and then after investigation, Duke Energy has got some three-phase lines running right through those trees, and they wanted to have their folks cut those trees. Liability factor. So notification was put in the paper, and then it was later canceled because it wasn't anything that the county was going to have to pay for. Duke Energy came in and took care of that. Next on the list is request to replace the awning at the county manager's office. And Kim, do you have, is that in this?
It is. It's $998.88. That goes from the end to the end of the building. You know, before, right past the town hall, and our building starts, it goes from that end to, and I don't know if you've noticed, the awning is horrible. And so, Commissioner Moore had asked me,
It's got Spanish moss drawn on it.
yeah,
It's $1,997.70.
oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. Deposit required was $998.88.
1,000?
1,900, okay.
Not more than thing, town the one that got the bid.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, I asked Kim how much it was the other day, and she said $9,000, and I nearly hit the floor. I said, "What's the take of that?" No, but she was mistaken, it was $1,997. I felt much better about the opportunity of getting that on too.
Well, I think that needs to be done, it's just everybody comes, it's going to eventually rot and fall down.
Oh, yeah.
It is deteriorating, you know, it needs to be replaced.
Okay, we'll go ahead and have action on this. Do you have anything else to add to that, Greg?
No, sir.
Okay, if not, we have a motion, then we have the awning and take that bid, was it 1,900? Not bid, I can't use the word bid.
Quote, $1,997.76.
No money since.
We have a motion,
Second.
we have a second. Any further conversation? Questions, comments? Okay, all approved? All opposed? Thank you very much. We heard the safety and ground committee recommendations, did we not? Did we act on that already?
Did you need action on any of those,
I have them later on in the pack.
Yeah, you did make those, so you did a presentation, it was during our work session. Everyone remember that?
Can I interrupt 1 minute?
Yes, please.
yes,
Can I please ask you to put signs underneath the, awning? You cannot see if that says the county manager's office, the election board, or the veterans office. And I go up to the county manager's office usually 2 times a day roughly, sometimes not at all. I never go without somebody says, can you tell me where the county manager, they can't see that looking up underneath that awning, those signs there. That clearly needs to be marked and designated what it is. And I don't know if you need plaques on the wall, I don't know what you need, but you need better signage there. Nobody knows where you guys are, they ask all the time.
Just need to put that on the front of the awning.
well, I think that if we're gonna, you know, replace an awning long term, I mean, if, you know, that, when was the last time that awning was put on there? Maybe 10 years ago?
Probably long.
Longer than that, so I mean, 10 years down the road, we may have a capital project, maybe to build another office, so I mean, that's why I wouldn't attach to that. I think her idea of putting something on the side of the walls. But now, a lot of that's disguised, Juanita, so
I
they
know,
can't find.
and I know, but everybody, we don't want the disguise.
Okay, now can we just add that, I guess we can just have that directed then, once that's done. But there may be extra costs involved if it's put on the awning.
They're,
Signs that's hanging up there, otherwise.
You know, sign, just
We
move
already
it
got
down.
the signs.
Okay.
yeah, we've got the signs, we could just adjust. I wouldn't recommend having that integrated in the
Okay.
fabric of the awning.
All right.
It looked nice,
Thank you.
but long term,
I
I
need
mean,
to mention that. Okay.
Now maybe you can find it when you go up there.
All right, well, I have a motion on.
I can hear it coming, so I can duck
It
out.
was noted, motion second.
Great.
Yes.
And the safety and grounds committee recommendation,
Was there any action on
I
what
was-
you discussed earlier, Juanita, that you needed directly from the board?
We were gonna go, I think I've got it,
The only thing would be those sheets off.
yeah, and we were gonna do that under, I guess, over you, I thought I had it on here, but again,
I mean, there were several things.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, we go and, or we're just accepting the report and recommendations, right?
well, I'm going to go over a few of those with you to get the ones that were needed to be addressed
Okay.
now.
All right.
And we can do that at UNO business.
Okay, but if there's an action item now, we're gonna wait.
Uh,
We can
already
accept
did
the
it.
recommendations, we didn't, we already done it, right?
You already done the action on
Okay.
the awning.
Okay, but how about the safety grounds and committee recommendations?
Where's that at?
That
Is
was
that
the
not
report,
on mine?
that was the report,
Hold on
we didn't
just a
act on it yet. We
Here
couldn't
we go.
because
I was looking at the wrong.
workshop.
Yes, now we can do that. Recommendations. And they were under your workshop agenda, they were behind those.
So we,
If you want to review those, and then me get back to you, or do you want to look at these now? That was the striping from the health department, the striping at the, EMS had asked for one too, is that correct, David? Striping at EMS was $550, striping at the health department was $649. Repairs at the courthouse, now, there was a couple of things at the courthouse we needed to address, and they were getting some quotes from different people, and I didn't know if you wanted to do it all at one time, or as things, the total cost for one, that included the steps, the window grate, the guttering, flashing on the small roof, cover pipe with aluminum, and paint the jail windows, materials and labor, $3,500. So, I mean, we're starting to look.
Did we bid that?
No, we just got quotes. So, that was what I was gonna come to y'all and ask. Do you want to break it down, or do you want to do it all at one time?
Now, you're talking about the
This was the courthouse, wasn't it?
This is the courthouse. I think we have $1,000 left in facility funds to go toward this, and that would leave the remainder coming out of general funds. And that was, fixing, did the jail sign, was that included in that?
No.
They wanted us to fix the new jail sign out the back. That was a request from Tammy Hoover. Holloway, sorry. I think I need to go home. And then they got a metal sign for the EMS as well. Yeah. The sprinkler system, there's a portion in that. We do have a sprinkler system at the courthouse. It does work, but it was not drained one winter, and the pump froze and burst. So we need to install a new pump. The pump was $232.76. Did I say that correctly? A pump, yes. But it just wasn't drained, so that's something if we do go ahead. These are just some small items. Repair on the community building ceiling, I think we're gonna address, and this was in here for $650. And like I said, these are just quotes. You tell me what you want us to do. Guttering for the inspection office, $495.
Was that on the ramp? Kept getting on the ramp?
Yeah, that's on the right.
That's where the ice, it was, people coming up were sleeping on the ice, especially in the winter. The repair shed at the library, I don't remember, Commissioner Eller, were you in, we were discussing the shed at the library, closing it, or it's a danger right now?
Well, all the wood around the metal
Yeah.
structure is rotted out. It needs to be repaired. And that was,
I believe one time we had a meeting, and we give David the authority to fix anything that was tore up, anything that might be a danger, fix it. And I think the board was unanimous on that.
Yes.
I think we need to be reminded of that David needs to take care of the business with that. That's his job, that's what he does, inspects his houses to make them up to par. And I think he needs to do that without anybody bothering him. Because it's not, I've been around David for many years, he's not gonna waste money if it don't need fixing, he ain't gonna fix it. But if it does need fixing, or somebody might get hurt, then he needs to fix it, and then, or go through Becky first and get the 159 and fix it.
Well, one of the things I'm seeing too is some of these expenses are up around $2,000 or better.
Well, the thing about it is, we're
Yeah.
talking about an emergency, a
Right.
safety hazard.
Yeah.
We also voted if there was $100 worth of work to be done in the county, it would be bid.
Right. But we
That's in the
have bids in here of $2,070. We have bids in here
So
of
there were bids or quotes.
70 quotes, $7,450.
yeah,
I know that man right there will not proceed.
That's
Until there's-
that's $7,400, that's turning that into
Right.
a storage building.
Right.
No.
whenever, I think that we're getting, one thing we're getting mixed up here. And this is one of the things that is gonna be important with the oversight board that was approved just a little while ago, is to be able to assimilate all this information. Whenever the safety committee and grounds committee, whenever they have project ideas and recommendations, the first thing I tell them to do is, hey, get me an idea of what this is gonna cost. That way, right then, I'll be able to assess whether or not this is something that we can go ahead and approve. If it's under $1,000 and it's a necessity, you know, we can go ahead and approve it as long as there's money left in there.
That wasn't the motion. The motion was if it was
If
dangerous,
it's a danger, we
and
fix
if
it.
it was going to draw out,
Yes, sir.
to fix it.
That's
Without
right.
asking anybody.
That's right. If there is an inherent danger, you know, like if there was electrical wire exposed and it was gonna cost $10,000 to fix it, I don't call the board and pull it. I say, go out there and fix it, right? That is exactly right. But in order for us to be able to assimilate all this information and pull these recommendations down, it's important to try to get a general idea of what this is in fact gonna cost us. And then bring these recommendations as a whole to the Board of Commissioners. You know, if they are over the $1,000 threshold, and there's something that, well, it needs to be done now, but it can't wait till next budget year because we've already spent $23,000 out of public buildings this year. You know, those are the recommendations that we bring to the board. So what I don't want to see is, you know, we have a lot of different items, and it's $650 here, it's $3,500 there, it's $2,000 here, and next thing you know, we spent $10,000. You know, we need to be able to assimilate this information for you as a whole, identify the ones that are reparative that we go ahead and fix right away, identify the ones that, well, they can wait until we know what our budget structure is going to be leading into the end of the year. Do you disagree with that, Becky?
Yeah,
Becky?
we gotta make sure that we look at the big picture and prioritize, and obviously the ones that are a
Danger we fix.
absolute hazard, needs to be done right away.
Well, I'm with Raven.
It needs to be part of our
I-
capital
excuse me.
budgeting as well, that we go ahead and assess these things during the budget and budget for it so that we've got the authority, budgetary authority to fix it, and, whatever discretion you want to give to Mr. Cable, that's up to y'all.
Well, I think Raven's already said it. I mean, and I recall that. Is the fact is, if it's busted, fix it. And, from the standpoint, and I know that David, all, with everything he knows and does, is that, you can triage it. I mean, that's basically it. If something that needs to be fixed yesterday, I mean, that needs to be a priority, and I think that needs to be worked out seriously. Am I right with you on it, Raven? I mean, that's the way that it needs to be. But if we're gonna have to spend $20,000 to replace something, I know the guy sitting right there's gonna say something, he will. I mean, that's it. We have to know about the difference between the two, without a doubt. So where does that bring us about triage? I guess it's gonna be between the building inspector and the county manager?
And we can do that. I mean, I just want to make sure, and I'm in full agreement. If there's a danger, we fix it. The other day I had a post break at sanitation on one of the buildings, called it, said, fix it. We've got to get this taken care of. We can't have this, there's things that happen, and we step in regardless, fix it. We had a septic tank that was exposed. I didn't even know it was there until it was cleaned. Okay, it was off to the side. That was pointed out from the Safety and Grounds Committee. Got on the line, got the Trico up there, Gavin fixed it. I didn't even know there was a septic tank over there. Here's a 15-foot hole there.
All right, board, let's go on. Thank you, Greg. And,
But now, I don't want him, because the motion was that David take care of it if it needed. I don't want him brought to you and then drug out. I want it fixed then.
No, sir. Whenever those recommendations are brought to me, they're not drug out. As a matter of fact, whenever they come into my office and they're, that list, the day I got it, I sent that down to our maintenance guy to take a look at and to get me some prices on it. That information is never drug out of my office. It's dealt with right away. Now, how quick that information gets back to me, and depending on how much those items may cost, well, that determines on whether or not I need to contact the Board of Commissioners if it is an inherent danger. That was my understanding of the motion that was made.
well, that's clear. So is there any need for action on this, Randy? I don't see anything on this about, with this. Yeah, we have. Is that okay, appreciate the board? Is that, you know, under that, and I know the staff, we have to want to take care of it. But still, we have to watch that. How about the grounds budget? How about the repair budget item line?
Well, we budgeted about 35,000 last year for just general repairs, and we've probably got about half of that, roughly half of it.
All right, that's just.
We've had to do some pretty, some pretty large, they've had to put an HVAC system over at probation office. We've had some pretty big things that came up.
At the library?
And we've had to do some stuff at the library as well, so
Okay.
we've got about half of that.
Half of it left, Betty?
About it, I mean,
Probably had like less than 5,000.
I know we,
We'll be for projects, fix and stuff.
we don't quote me on that, so on the front, but I know we've spent quite a bit. But then, we got, we depleted the capital outlay fund real quick.
We're not trying to nickel and dime these, and in the last set of minutes, you'll see where it says, Michelle says no action. She's throwing that at me, she wasn't going to Greg, because I didn't highlight it red like they told me to, and send it to Greg. I got busy and I got covered up, sometimes I work, you know what I mean? But that's not saying that he did it, it's saying that I didn't do my job of getting that to Greg for him to get on that, because if it's a safety issue, we don't want anybody hurt, and we don't want to say, we take that responsibility, we take it to heart. We don't want anybody hurt, we don't send you that stuff just to, and we don't send it to Greg just to work him to death. There's some things we get concerned about and we think, let's fix it, but it's not him that was last. That was for me. I don't intend it to, because Jill said you were supposed to, and she whispered to me.
Issues on the road, but
Well, I didn't do it, and I forgot to underline it. We just sent him minutes and he didn't. He acted on some of that, even still, even though I was supposed to bring his attention to it, but I didn't. But we're just trying to fix what's unsafe. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Okay, with that, let's move right along. And so there's no action required on the safety ground committee's recommendation unless it goes and exceeds. I mean, it's safety, it's all safety issues, and you have to triage it, and it's still gonna be under the requirement of 1,000. I mean, if it's not a safety issue and it's over
You
$1,000.
still want me running the paper though?
For that,
Is that
Wait,
good?
so no.
for that
Wait.
rotting, for that rotting, our courthouse, that is rotting in about, so it's my understanding what Candy's so concerned about.
You're talking about the parole office?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what we're worried about.
That was a project that was slated to begin this winter and to have completed. And to be honest with you, we had flooding at ESS that took up a whole lot of time, with the water pipes freezing. And we had a lot of projects that basically stepped in and had to take an immediate priority over that. But it is something that is very much on the list that we're going to have to address there. And we've looked at it and allocated the staff to be able to fix that.
Okay, may I jump in here?
Yes.
I'm getting a little bit confused on the process here. If, we come in, and I know that we had a very extensive report from that committee, and there were a lot of things, and then I see in my packet here, that there are several projects that have been mentioned that have bids on them. And we're being asked tonight to make a decision about those bids?
And they just have
Or
quotes.
is that just have quotes? They like both again. Quotes.
Now, was that
So
just?
what
giving
you're
an
asking this
idea?
board tonight to do is what?
Do you want me to go out and get this done? I'll put it in the paper for bid. That's what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
This is a general idea of the cost.
Okay.
But in the event that an emergency comes
That's it.
up, we will
Okay.
use whoever
All
or
right.
whatever.
All right.
Now, I will say this, David calls 3, 4, 5 different contractors every time we have something and asks them to bring us something in here, a quote. And we end up usually with 1 or with 2. Am I correct, David? It's very hard, but now I'll run it in the paper each and every time. And you want me running for a week, you want me running for 2? I guess that was mine. These are just general ideas of what the expense is going to be.
Okay.
Painting the windows on the building,
That's not it, yeah.
we've got people.
We got people.
Yeah.
Inmates or.
Absolutely. These items that, you know, it's just like with the septic tank up there on Fort Hill. We got staff, we got equipment, we can take care of it. I'm not gonna bid that out if we can do it in-house.
Now, like the sprinkler system, you know, that's a given, if that ends are okay with that expenditure. I just want you to have a general idea of what gets brought in and the cost that we're gonna be going out and why. That way you know where the
Get
money
that
is.
big,
Okay.
because the judge gave about a 10-minute speech on how bad facilities was in Graham County. Of course, I don't know if we've ever talked to young juries, but he really was down on it.
All right, any other comment on this? We'll go ahead and, with regard to placing the bids for advertising. All right, we have a motion that we have these advertised for those that would pursue.
So moved.
Have a motion, thank you, Randy. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other comment or questions? All approved? Thank you very much.
All right, next is, the 3 polls that were done, over since the last meeting. The first one, A, is letter of intent to purchase the transfer station sheriff department. That was, drafted by Mike Talent and sent over to the Codys. B was the purchase of the mower weeders for the cemetery commission at $3,018.89, which was just a little bit, I think that was just a little bit higher than what they had anticipated in the budget, because they could not get, the model mower that they priced back there in the budget. So that was, and then repair of the lights and the helipad, including concrete around the light bases. So I need to get a motion.
Would you read the poll on that one?
Yes, sir. All right. First poll, I'm having trouble locating A.
It is the letter to the Codys. Is that the letter of intent to purchase? A poll, all was yes. The second poll, purchase of the mower and the weed eaters, all was yes. The third poll, repair the lights at the helipad, we had to check into. After checking into, they were all yeses with Commissioner Williams saying check into. After we did, we realized that there was more that needed to be done to the helipad. So I was going to pause before I allowed you to vote on that. We did get the purchase order and everything for the initial poll, but then they came back and said it needed to be refinished, labor to form finish strip and solid 30 by 30 concrete pad for LZ. And I had 3 quotes, 4 quotes. That is in there. So that was one of the polls that we can, I mean, you can, the poll went through at the $12.85 for the lighting and installation and labor and materials. David, do you want to actually speak on this?
The LC pad, this was done incorrect. And the job that they want to do is pack it. It's basically coming out of getting the alcohol. So I'm with Larry's here because he's the one that brought this up. But the thing about it is hitting the helicopter now, I just check it up because of the salt. It has about 5 different problems. They pitch it toward the center, they wash the salt, it runs, goes through the pad, and it's basically just pick the center pad up. So they were talking about patching it, and I want to look at it. Anything you patch that thing with, because I guarantee it didn't have any gravel on it, I guarantee it didn't have poly in it. And so it's.
I don't know about poly, it had gravel.
Huh?
I don't know about poly, it had gravel.
It had
Lot
gravel.
of it.
But the fact is that it's flipping up, and they talked about patching it, and I guess raising the lights was the original thing, I was involved in that. But because the pipes lay on top of the ground.
Right.
So, but one thing we looked at was as far as costs, and also you would have to saw in the rain, you're gonna have to take out something because the patch won't work. So that's one of the things we were looking at, was just, hey, can you, by the time you spend all the money, can you not pour a brand new LZ pad? And put the lights in the concrete and actually have it done correctly. Put poly, drain it properly,